The question cut through the wedding reception like a blade through silk. Is he married? I watched from across the ballroom as my husband, glanced in my direction. Our eyes met for half a heartbeat. Then Asher turned back to the stranger with that devastating smile I'd fallen for 7 years ago. Not really, he said, loud enough for everyone within earshot to hear. It doesn't count when she's not interesting. Laughter erupted around him. Joyce, his coworker with the crimson dress and perfect blonde waves, pressed her manicured hand against his chest as she doubled over in amusement. The woman who'd asked the question, someone's aunt, maybe, practically shrieked with delight at his wit. I sat frozen at our table, my sparkling water glass suspended halfway to my lips, watching my marriage disintegrate into entertainment for strangers. That moment happened 4.5 hours ago. Now I stand in our overpriced Beacon Hill apartment at 5:47 in the morning, cracking eggs into the pan with surgical precision, replaying those words on an endless loop, while plotting exactly how interesting my revenge will become. The skillet hisses as butter melts into golden pools. I move through the choreography I've perfected across 5 years of marriage. The breakfast routine Asher doesn't thank me for but would absolutely notice if I missed. Eggs with pristine white edges, never browned or crispy. Avocado mashed with exactly 3/4 of a lime and a 1/4 teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt. Whole grain toast achieving that specific shade of golden amber he prefers, but has never once acknowledged. Dark roast coffee, 2 sugars. Oat milk heated to exactly 140 degrees. The same breakfast I made yesterday, the day before. Every single day since we moved into this suffocating apartment, he insisted we needed for his professional image. Through our bedroom wall, his first alarm pierces the silence at 6:22, then 6:27, then 6:32, each one bleeding insistently until he slaps it silent, groaning like he's being tortured instead of simply being asked to wake up for the career I've been bankrolling for half a decade. Our neighbor's television rumbles to life through the paper-thin walls. Financial news, stock market futures. Asher will want the numbers over breakfast while texting Joyce about their urgent morning strategy session. My hand trembles slightly as I smooth the avocado across toast. Yesterday, a receipt slipped from his jacket pocket while I was checking for dry cleaning. 2 specialty lattes from that pretentious place on Newbury Street. Time-stamped 4:12 p.m., the expensive ones with the foam art and imported beans. When did one coffee become 2? When did grabbing coffee with a colleague transform into daily rituals that never include his wife? I tucked that receipt back into his pocket, exactly where I found it. Let him believe I'm still the oblivious housewife who never questions, never checks pockets, never wonders why Joyce's name illuminates his phone screen more frequently than mine does. At 6:53, Asher finally stumbles into our kitchen, hair pointing in 7 directions, already scrolling through his phone before his eyes have fully opened. No good morning, no kiss, not even eye contact, just a grunt of acknowledgement as he collapses into the chair, thumb flying across the screen with the urgency of a bomb defusal technician. Joyce needs me to review her presentation before the morning briefing, he announces to his phone, not to me. Probably running late tonight too. The Patterson account is absolutely exploding right now. The Patterson account. Everything revolves around the Patterson account these days. I set his breakfast down. He takes a bite without tasting it, without looking up, without any indication that a human being just performed a service for him. A notification banner slides across his screen. Joyce's profile photo, all teeth and highlighted hair and calculated approachability. He actually smiles at the notification. A genuine, warm expression I haven't seen directed at me in 8 months. Don't forget the wedding tonight, I remind him, keeping my voice carefully neutral. The Hartley wedding, you promised you'd come. He glances up, confused, like I've just spoken ancient Greek. Oh, right, yeah, sure, what time? 6:30. The invitation's been on the refrigerator for 4 months. He's already back to his phone, responding to whatever Joyce found so urgent at 7 in the morning. Joyce might swing by too. She knows the Hartleys through some charity board thing or whatever. That cool. Is it cool? Does my opinion matter? Joyce will materialize regardless, poured into something designer and attention-grabbing, and Asher will light up like Times Square on New Year's Eve the second she walks in. Just like at his company holiday party. Just like at every team dinner that somehow never includes spouses anymore. Sure, I say to his bent head. The more the merrier. At 7:23, he rushes out in a cloud of expensive cologne, abandoning his half-eaten breakfast and coffee mug on the table. Running behind for Joyce's presentation, he calls over his shoulder. Not goodbye, not I love you, not even thank you for waking up before dawn to feed me. Just Joyce, always Joyce, forever Joyce. I clear his dishes with mechanical efficiency, then sit at the table with my own coffee, the cheap kind I buy for myself, and open my laptop. My Riverside Academy email explodes with notifications. 18 new messages. Parents demanding conferences. Students submitting essays at 2 a.m. Administrative reminders about standardized testing protocols that make actual education impossible. This is my real life. The one where I'm Dr. Turner. Yes, I actually finished my PhD after he promised I could, where 8th graders respect my analysis of Hamlet, where parents thank me for teaching their children that literature matters. At noon, I'll stand before my advanced English class discussing The Great Gatsby with 31 14-year-olds who think they understand everything about love and betrayal. Sophie Chen, my sharpest student, will inevitably ask one of her devastating questions that slice straight through comfortable lies. Last week she asked whether Daisy ever actually loved Tom, or just loved what he represented, the security, the status, the option of not having to be interesting on her own. I deflected with literary analysis, but the question has been haunting me ever since. Later this afternoon, I'll drive to Wellesley for my secret tutoring session with the Patterson twins. Yes, those Pattersons, the family whose father's account supposedly keeps Asher and Joyce working, late 4 nights a week. Their mother pays me $350 in cash per 2-hour session, money I deposit into an account Asher doesn't know exists. At first, I told myself I was saving for a surprise anniversary trip. Now I call it what it really is. My exit fund, my independence fund, my just in case my husband is exactly who we think he is fund. It's grown to $31,000. The apartment feels smaller this morning, suffocating. The exposed brick wall that seemed charming when we signed the lease now looks like a prison cell. The mid-century modern furniture Asher insisted on buying, because successful people have successful spaces, feels like stage props in someone else's performance. Even the morning light streaming through our bay windows seems fraudulent, too bright, too cheerful, illuminating a life that photographs beautifully but feels like dying slowly. I open Instagram. Asher's feed loads. There she is, Joyce, front and center in a team photo from yesterday's working lunch I didn't know about. Joyce laughing at someone's birthday celebration he never mentioned. Joyce standing beside my husband at a conference he told me he was attending alone. Joyce, 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 the woman who's somehow become more present in my marriage than I am. Tonight will be different, I tell myself. Tonight at the Hartley wedding, surrounded by people who know us as a couple, Asher will have to acknowledge my existence. He'll have to introduce me as his wife, sit beside me at dinner, maybe even dance with me if I'm extraordinarily lucky. For a few hours, I'll exist in his world as more than the boring woman who makes his breakfast and pays half his rent. I close the laptop and walk to our bedroom to choose my outfit. The black cocktail dress hanging in the closet will work. Simple, elegant, appropriate. Asher will glance at it later and say fine without really looking, the way he says everything these days. Fine, adequate, boring. But as I stand there running my fingers along the fabric, those words from 4.5 hours in the future echo backward, through time like a prophecy I've already lived. It doesn't count when she's not interesting. The evening everything broke. The valet takes forever retrieving our car, and Asher checks his phone every 18 seconds, his jaw muscle twitching with barely contained irritation. The Hartley wedding venue towers before us, a converted estate with limestone columns stretching 4 stories high, illuminated from below with amber lights that make the entire structure glow against the deepening twilight. Joyce just texted. She's already inside, Asher says, practically vibrating with anticipation. We need to move. I adjust my black dress one final time. The fabric suddenly feels cheaper than it did in our bedroom mirror. Other couples are arriving around us. Wives in jewel-toned gowns that catch the light like precious stones, their husbands offering arms as they navigate the stone steps in heels. Asher is already 8 feet ahead of me, phone still clutched in his hand like a life preserver. The ballroom doors swing open to reveal a sea of round tables draped in champagne-colored linens, centerpieces exploding with white peonies and cascading greenery. A string quartet plays something Vivaldi in the corner, the kind of music that makes everyone whisper and feel more cultured. I spot familiar faces everywhere, people from Asher's office, friends from my college years, neighbors from our building. Everyone looks polished, happy, coupled. Willow, oh my God, finally. Sarah's voice cuts through the elegant murmur. My former college roommate appears in emerald silk, her husband David trailing behind with 2 crystal glasses of sparkling cider. She pulls me into a hug that lasts 3 seconds too long, then pulls back to study my face with the kind of concern that means my concealer is failing its job. You look exhausted, honey, she whispers, hand still gripping my arm. Everything okay? Before I can construct a convincing lie, Asher is scanning the room over my shoulder, his entire body angled away from our conversation. Sarah follows my gaze, watching my husband search the crowd with the desperate intensity of someone who's lost their passport at an airport. She's over by the bar, David offers helpfully, completely missing the subtext. Joyce, right, from your firm. She was asking about you earlier, Asher. The transformation is instantaneous. Asher's face illuminates, his shoulders straighten. Suddenly he looks like the man I married, animated, engaged, present. Except absolutely none of that energy is directed at me. I'll be right back, he says, already moving. Just need to say quick hello. Sarah and I watch him weave through the crowd like a guided missile, locked on target. David excuses himself to find their seats, leaving Sarah and me standing there like abandoned furniture. How long has that been going on? Sarah asks quietly. What do you mean? The lie comes automatically, even though we both know better. She doesn't push. Instead, she links her arm through mine and guides me toward the bar, chattering about her children, her new promotion, anything except the obvious. But I'm not listening. I'm watching Asher reach Joyce. The crimson dress should look garish in this sea of tasteful pastels and navy, but on Joyce, it looks like confidence, like power, like everything I'm not. Her blonde hair falls in waves that probably cost more than my entire outfit. When Asher approaches, she turns toward him like a sunflower finding light, her whole body igniting with recognition. I watch him help adjust her wrap, a delicate silver thing that slipped from her shoulders. His hands linger there, smoothing fabric that doesn't need smoothing, while she tilts her head back and laughs at something he said. The sound carries across the ballroom, bright, tinkling, drawing glances from other guests. Our inside joke from yesterday's strategy session, I hear Joyce say as Sarah and I drift closer. You should have seen Henderson's face when you made that comment about the quarterly projections. Our inside joke. They have inside jokes. From yesterday's meeting that probably extended into yesterday's dinner and yesterday's late-night drinks I wasn't invited to. Sarah's hand finds mine and squeezes. She understands without words, the way good friends do. We locate our table assignment. Number 14, tucked in a corner with a partially obstructed view of the dance floor. Asher's place card sits beside mine, mocking me. His chair remains empty through the salad course, through the speeches, through the first dance. When the DJ invites all guests to join the happy couple on the floor, Asher materializes with Joyce in tow, both of them flushed and laughing. They're playing our song, Joyce exclaims, and I wonder when exactly they acquired a song. Remember, from the Patterson celebration dinner, she adds, and of course, everything circles back to Patterson. Just one dance, Asher says, not asking, already guiding Joyce away. You don't mind, right, Willow? Do I mind? The question hangs in the air for half a second before they're gone, swept into the crowd of swaying couples. I watch them move together with an ease that speaks of practice. His hand knows exactly where to rest on her waist. She knows precisely how to tilt her head to maintain eye contact while they turn. One dance becomes two, when the DJ transitions seamlessly into another slow song. Two becomes three, when Joyce requests something specific, touching the DJ's arm like they're old friends. By the fourth dance, other guests have started noticing. Conversations pause mid-sentence. Eyes track their movement around the floor. Mrs. Hartley, mother of the bride, catches my eye from across the room and offers a sympathetic smile that feels worse than outright pity. By the fifth dance, I've stopped pretending to check my phone. I simply sit there, sparkling water untouched, watching my husband dance with another woman while everyone watches me watching them. Sarah has tried making conversation, but even she's run out of safe topics. That's when Margaret Hartley descends on our table like a perfumed hawk, in scent John knitwear. Darling, she settles into Asher's abandoned chair with the authority of someone who owns every room she enters. I don't think we've been properly introduced. I'm Margaret, Catherine's mother, and you are Willow Richardson, I manage. Oh, how lovely. Her voice carries the way voices do when they're meant to be overheard. And that handsome man dancing with the blonde, is he with you? I feel the blood drain from my face. Sarah starts to interject, but Margaret waves her off with bejeweled fingers. Such a striking couple they make, Margaret continues, loud enough that the neighboring table turns to look. The way they move together, like they've been dancing for years. Is he married, dear? The question hangs in the air like a guillotine blade. I can see Asher and Joyce returning to our section, both glowing from exertion. Joyce's hand rests possessively on his arm. They're laughing about something, heads bent together, completely oblivious to the small audience now gathered around our conversation. Well, Margaret presses, her voice now carrying to 4 tables over. Is your handsome friend married? Asher hears her. I see the exact moment the question registers. Watch him process it. Watch his eyes flick to me, his wife of 5 years, the woman who supported him through business school, who moved to Boston for his career, who spent countless nights alone while he worked late with Joyce. He smiles, that easy, charming smile that made me fall in love with him at a bookstore 7 years ago. Not really, he says, his voice projecting across our entire corner of the ballroom. It doesn't count when she's not interesting. The laughter erupts immediately. Joyce giggles behind her manicured fingers. Margaret Hartley practically cackles with delight. The couple at the next table exchange knowing looks. Even our waiter refilling water glasses smirks. Before we continue with what happens next, if you've ever felt invisible to someone who should see you most clearly, you're not alone. This story is for everyone who's ever been underestimated. I stand slowly, my movements deliberate, controlled. Every eye in our section is locked on me now, waiting for tears, for drama, for the boring wife to finally provide some entertainment. Excuse me, I say, my voice steady as granite. I need some air. Oh no, was it something I said? Joyce's voice follows me as I walk away. Don't worry about it, Asher replies, loud enough for me to hear. She's always overly sensitive at events. The bathroom is mercifully empty. I lock myself in the farthest stall and stand there, breathing slowly through my nose, waiting for tears that never come. My hands aren't shaking. My heart isn't racing. Instead, there's this strange calm settling over me. Like watching storm clouds finally clear after years of gathering darkness. I emerge and face myself in the ornate gilt mirror. My mascara hasn't run. My lipstick remains perfect. I look exactly like the woman who walked into this wedding 4.5 hours ago, hoping her husband might remember she existed. But inside, something fundamental has shifted. A door has closed. A decision has crystallized. I walk back through the ballroom without stopping at our table. Asher is back on the dance floor with Joyce, both of them laughing at something the DJ said. Sarah catches my eye, starts to stand, but I shake my head slightly. This isn't her problem to fix. The valet seems surprised to see me alone. Leaving already, ma'am? Yes, I hand him the ticket. Just me. The night I disappeared. The drive home should take 23 minutes. I make it last 70, winding through Cambridge's silent streets with the windows down despite the biting March cold. The air stings my cheeks, makes my eyes water in a way that has nothing to do with crying. At a red light on Massachusetts Avenue, a memory surfaces unbidden. The acceptance letter from Harvard's PhD program in comparative literature. I was 27, ambitious, exceptionally promising, according to my professors. But Asher had just gotten into Sloan for his MBA, and we couldn't afford both programs simultaneously. Your career is more flexible, he'd said, fingers interlaced with mine across our tiny kitchen table. You can go back to school anytime. This is my one shot. That was 6 years ago. The promotion at Riverside Academy that I turned down because it would require evening committees, weekend curriculum development, less availability for Asher's endless networking events. The department head had been genuinely shocked. This opportunity won't come around again, Willow. But Asher needed me available, needed the stable income while he established himself, needed me small so he could feel large. The fertility specialist appointments I'd scheduled last year. 4 months of tests and consultations and hope. Then Asher's sudden announcement that he wasn't ready, might never be ready. Shouldn't I just focus on being happy with what we had? I deleted the doctor's number, thrown away the prenatal vitamins, pretended my body hadn't been preparing for something that would never arrive. By the time I reach our apartment building, the strange calm has crystallized into something harder, colder, purpose maybe. or just the absence of hope finally bringing clarity. Our apartment is dark, silent, waiting. I move through it like a ghost with an agenda. In the bedroom, I pull my overnight bag from the closet, the one I'd bought for anniversary weekends that never materialized. My grandmother's pearl necklace goes in first, wrapped carefully in tissue paper. Then the matching earrings, the engagement ring she wore for 58 years before leaving it to me in her will. From the living room cabinet, I carefully remove the china she also left me. 14 place settings of Wedgwood that survived the Depression, 2 wars, and 5 cross-country moves. Asher had wanted to sell them. Who needs fancy plates we'll never use? These plates aren't staying here to witness my marriage's funeral. Each piece goes into bubble wrap I've been saving from deliveries, into boxes, into my trunk. My laptop comes next. I sit at the kitchen table and systematically download 4 years of financial records, our joint checking account, the credit cards, his spending patterns, restaurant charges at places I've never been, hotel rooms booked in Boston when he claimed to be at conferences in other cities, $3,700 at Tiffany's 6 weeks ago that produced no blue box for me. I photograph everything, every receipt, every statement, every lie translated into digital evidence. The tutoring money I've been hiding isn't in our regular bank. For 4 years, I've been depositing cash into an account at a completely different institution under my maiden name, $31,000, from teaching entitled teenagers how to game the SAT system while their parents thought I was taking meditation classes to become more centered. The teaching awards from Riverside Academy go into a separate box. Excellence in Education 2020, Most Dedicated Faculty 2021, Innovation in Literature Curriculum 2022. Asher never attended a single ceremony. School stuff, he'd dismiss them, like I was a child showing off finger painting. At exactly 11:17 p.m., I sit at our kitchen table with his keychain. The apartment key slides off first, then the mailbox key, the building gym key, the spare to his parents' house in Wellesley. I keep removing them until only his car key remains, alone on the ring like a question mark. His laptop sits on the counter, password protected. But I know all his passwords. He's used the same 3 in rotation since college. Security questions answered with his childhood dog's name, his father's middle name, his birth year backward. I log into our Netflix account and change the password. Then Hulu, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, the grocery delivery service, the meal kit subscription he insisted we needed to save time. Every shared digital space we've created, I lock him out of. Systematically, methodically. His LinkedIn profile is the masterpiece. I don't delete it or write anything crude, just a simple update to his professional summary. Currently exploring new opportunities after interpersonal conflicts with team members affected workplace dynamics and professional judgment. Vague enough to sound professional, specific enough to make every recruiter pause. Then I find the business card I've been carrying in my wallet for 8 months. Marcus Torres, Joyce's fiancé. Army Ranger, currently deployed overseas, completely unaware his future wife has been playing corporate romance with my husband. I pull up the photos I took tonight on my phone. Asher's hand on Joyce's waist, lingering too long. Her head thrown back in laughter, intimate and exclusive. The two of them closer than colleagues ever should be, frame after frame. I create a new email, attach the photos, type a simple subject line. Thought you should see what Joyce was doing at the Hartley wedding tonight. I add one line. I'm sorry you're finding out this way. You deserve better. Willow Richardson, Asher's soon-to-be ex-wife. Send. My wedding ring comes off easier than I expected. 5 years of wearing it, and it slides off like it never belonged there in the first place. I place it on Asher's pillow, with a note written on his own expensive monogrammed stationery. You're right, it didn't count. I wasn't interesting enough to fight for someone who was never really mine. Don't contact me. My lawyer will reach out next week. W. By 11:52 p.m., I'm pulling onto I-93 North, my overnight bag and boxes of China Secure in the trunk, Burlington, Vermont in my GPS. My sister Grace's number appears on my car's display. I'd texted her 4 hours ago. Coming to stay, will explain later, need guest room. Her response had been immediate. Doors unlocked, wine is breathing, drive safe. No questions, no demands for details, just unconditional sanctuary. The morning after, the assault begins at exactly 7:11 a.m. Grace knocks softly on the guest room door, holding my phone. It's been ringing nonstop since 6:45. 34 calls from the same number. Not Asher's cell number, though. I recognize it immediately. The apartment building's lobby phone. He can't get in. I take the phone and power it on. The screen explodes with notifications. 51 missed calls, 23 voicemails, 89 text messages. The first voicemail is timestamped 6:38 a.m. Willow, what the hell happened to the locks? This isn't funny. I'm locked out of my own apartment. His voice carries more confusion than anger. Still in denial. The second at 6:51. Seriously, this is ridiculous. I have a meeting at 8:30. Fix the locks now. By 6:59, panic has crept in. My credit card just got declined at the coffee shop. What's going on? Did you cancel my cards? At 7:09, full rage. You're completely insane. You can't just lock me out and freeze my money. This is illegal. I'm calling the police. I'm calling a lawyer. You're going to regret this, Willow. You vindictive crazy. I delete the rest without listening. Grace sits beside me on the bed, reading the text messages over my shoulder. Most are variations of the same theme. Demands, threats, bargaining, more threats. Then, buried among them, one from an unknown number. This is Joyce. I don't know what lies you told Marcus, but you've ruined everything. I hope destroying people makes you feel powerful. Marcus is her fiancé, I explained to Grace. Army Ranger, deployed overseas. I sent him the photos from last night. Grace actually laughs out loud. You sent evidence to the other woman's military boyfriend. Willow, I didn't know you had this in you. My phone rings again. Asher calling from the lobby phone. This time I answer. Willow, what is wrong with you? Open the door right now. Good morning to you too, I say calmly, taking a sip of the coffee Grace made. Strong with real cream from the local dairy. Don't you dare, where are you? Why aren't you here? The locks aren't working. I removed your access. You'll need to make other arrangements. Other arrangements? This is MY apartment. Actually, it's Mr. Kowalski's apartment. And as of this morning, you're no longer on the lease. Silence. I can hear his breathing, rapid, shallow, panicked. You can't do that. Already done. Check your email. 30 days notice to vacate. Mr. Kowalski was very understanding when I explained the situation. What situation? What did you tell him? The truth, that my husband publicly announced our marriage doesn't count because I'm not interesting enough. Turns out landlords don't appreciate tenants who humiliate their spouses at public events. Reflects poorly on character. That was a joke. Joyce thought it was funny. Everyone was laughing. Is Joyce taking your calls this morning? Pause. She's dealing with something. Marcus, you mean? Yes, I imagine she is. You sent those photos to Marcus. He's deployed. He's serving our country and you. He's serving our country while his fiancée plays office romance with married men. He deserved to know the truth. You've ruined everything. My reputation, my career, my... Interesting people handle their own problems, Asher. I have to go. My sister's making breakfast. Willow, wait. I hang up, block the lobby number. Then I call Mr. Kowalski myself, our elderly Polish landlord who's owned the building for 37 years. Miss Willow, his thick accent carries genuine warmth. I send the email like you ask. 30 days, he must leave. You want I should change the physical locks too. That won't be necessary, but thank you, Mr. Kowalski. Good. You know my wife, God rest her soul, she never like him. Say he have eyes like snake. Wandering eyes, always looking at other women when you not watching. By 9:00 a.m., a different kind of call comes through. Sarah, breathless with gossip. Willow, you're not going to believe this. David just told me. He works in HR at the central office, remember, Joyce has done this before. 3 times. I sit up straighter in Grace's cozy armchair. She's done this before. At her last firm in Chicago, she created this whole toxic situation between 2 married executives who were basically fighting over her. The company had to transfer her to Boston to avoid a massive lawsuit. David says there's already paperwork started to transfer her to the Denver office because someone filed a complaint 6 weeks ago. About Asher. No, about her behavior with a different married manager. Asher was just the easiest target, I guess. David says everyone at the office knew about them. The constant lunches, the late meetings, the texting. Joyce apparently told people you and Asher were separated, that the marriage was basically over. We weren't separated. I made him breakfast yesterday morning. I know, honey, I know, but here's the best part. Sarah's voice drops to a gleeful whisper. Marcus showed up at their downtown office 45 minutes ago. My coffee cup freezes halfway to my mouth. What? Emergency leave. Flew back from Germany overnight. Walked into the office reception with printed emails and those photos you sent. David says security had to intervene because Marcus was ready to. Well, you know, military guys don't play games. Is Asher okay? I ask, though I'm not sure why I care. Why do you care? But yes, he's fine. Humiliated, but physically fine. Joyce, though, she completely threw him under the bus. Told HR that Asher had been pursuing her aggressively. That she tried to maintain professional boundaries but felt pressured because he's senior to her on the team. I actually laugh. She's claiming he harassed her. Full victim mode. HR launched an investigation. Asher's been suspended pending review. And Joyce, her transfer to Denver just got fast-tracked. She's already packing. I think about Asher standing in our apartment lobby this morning. Locked out of the life he took for granted. Credit cards frozen. Reputation crumbling. His office affair abandoning him to save herself. The boring wife he dismissed had dismantled his entire world in under 14 hours. Willow, you still there? Yeah, I'm here. How do you feel? I consider the question carefully. How do I feel? Vindicated, satisfied, empty. Interesting, I say finally. I feel interesting. The fallout. Grace leaves for her job at the yoga studio downtown, and I'm alone with my thoughts and the relentless buzzing of my phone. Barbara Richardson's name flashes on screen, Asher's mother. I've been expecting this call since approximately 45 seconds after Asher discovered he was homeless. I let it ring through to voicemail twice, before finally answering on her fourth attempt. Willow, her voice trembles with theatrical tears. What have you done to my poor boy? Hello, Barbara. He's homeless, jobless. He called me from some stranger's phone because his own phone died. He spent the night in his car, Willow, in his car. He has a car. That's more than many people have. How can you be so cruel after everything we've done for you? Welcoming you into our family, treating you like a daughter. Barbara, your son told a room full of people that our marriage doesn't count because I'm not interesting enough. Pause. I can hear her recalculating. Men say things they don't mean when they're caught up in the moment. Richard once told me I reminded him of his mother when I wore yellow. Did I divorce him over it? No, because marriage is about forgiveness. Richard, Asher's father, who had 4 affairs that Barbara knows about and pretends never happened. The Richardson family motto should be, accountability is optional. He wasn't caught up in anything, Barbara. He meant every single word. You're throwing away 5 years over one comment. That's childish, Willow. Marriages have difficulties. You work through them. Like you worked through Richard's secretary, or his tennis instructor, or that woman from his investment club. Dead silence. Then, how dare you? I dare because I'm done pretending that dysfunction is normal. Asher learned from the best, didn't he? That wives should just accept whatever scraps of respect their husbands toss them. She hangs up on me. 27 minutes later, my own parents call. Mom's contact photo. The 2 of us at last Thanksgiving, both smiling, makes my stomach twist. Sweetheart, Mom begins, her voice carefully neutral. Asher called us this morning. He's very upset. Of course he did. He explained about the misunderstanding at the wedding. Misunderstanding. Dad's voice joins the call's speakerphone. Willow, honey, men sometimes say foolish things under pressure, but you have to ask yourself, did you try hard enough to keep his interest? The words hit like ice water. Excuse me. Well, Dad continues, oblivious. Relationships require effort from both partners. Maybe you got too comfortable, stopped making an effort. When's the last time you surprised him, dressed up for him? I made him breakfast every morning at 5:30. I supported him through business school. I gave up my PhD program for his MBA. But did you stay interesting? Dad presses. Men need excitement, challenge. Maybe this Joyce woman offered something fresh that you didn't. Mom chimes in. Have you considered couples counseling? Dr. Patterson, you remember her from church. She saved the Miller's marriage after his affair. This isn't about saving anything, I say, my voice flat. It's over. Don't be rash, Mom warns. You're emotional right now. Take some time, think about your future. You're 33, Willow. Starting over at your age isn't easy. Better than staying with someone who publicly humiliates me. Is it? Dad asks. Better than working on your marriage. Better than admitting maybe you both made mistakes. I hang up. My hands are shaking, not from sadness, but from pure rage. My own parents think I should have tried harder to be interesting for a man who was emotionally cheating with his coworker. Grace walks in during my second glass of wine that afternoon, takes one look at my face and says, Parents, they think I should have tried harder to keep his interest. She snorts, unpacking groceries. You want to know something I never told you? I look up. At your wedding reception, your actual wedding, I caught Asher cornering my friend Melissa near the restrooms. Hand on the wall beside her head, leaning in close, telling her she had the most captivating eyes he'd ever seen. My wine glass stops halfway to my mouth. At our wedding, I told him to back off. He laughed it off, said he was just being friendly, but Melissa was genuinely uncomfortable. She left early because of him. You never said anything. Grace sits across from me, her expression serious. Would you have believed me? You were so happy, so certain he was the one, and I thought, maybe it was just wedding nerves. Maybe I misread the situation. I didn't want to ruin your day over suspicions. 5 years, I whisper. 5 years of signs I ignored. My phone buzzes, an email from Asher. Subject line, please read important. Against my better judgment, I open it. Willow, I know you're angry, but what you're doing is destructive and completely unnecessary. Joyce meant nothing. She was just a colleague who understood my work stress in ways you couldn't. You were always so focused on your students, your grading, your teacher stuff. You didn't understand the pressure I was under. I said something stupid at the wedding. Yes, but haven't you ever said something you didn't mean? We have 5 years of history, an apartment, a life. Don't throw it all away because your feelings are hurt. I'm willing to forgive you for the locks, the money, the humiliation at my office. We can start fresh, but you need to stop this vindictive behavior now. Come home, let's talk like adults. I read it 3 times, marveling at the mental gymnastics required to make himself the victim. He's willing to forgive me for responding to his public humiliation. The delusion is almost impressive. That evening, a notification from our bank makes my blood run cold. Large withdrawal from joint savings account. I log in immediately. $3,500 transferred out this morning. Another $2,200 this afternoon. He's draining what's left before I can stop him. I call the bank, but they're apologetic and useless. As a joint account holder, he has every right to withdraw funds. Unless I can prove fraud, which I can't, the money is his to take. I pull up 4 months of statements, really studying them for the first time. Hotel charges in Boston during conferences that were supposedly in other cities. Restaurant bills for 2, always 2, at places I've never been. Theater tickets, concert tickets. Even a weekend spa package in the Berkshires 6 weeks ago when he said he was visiting his college roommate. I screenshot every suspicious charge, every hotel receipt, every dinner for 2 I never attended. The Berkshires trip stings the most. I'd spent that weekend helping my colleague paint her new classroom while Asher was supposedly reconnecting with old friends. My evidence file grows thicker with each discovered lie. My phone rings just as I finish documenting the financial betrayal. Unknown Boston number. Hello, Mrs. Richardson. This is Margaret Hartley, the wedding gossip queen. I brace myself. Margaret, dear, I owe you an apology. Her voice is different, softer, without its usual performative edge. What happened at Catherine's wedding was unconscionable. I provoked that situation, and I'm deeply sorry. I don't know what to say. Margaret Hartley has never apologized for anything in her 72 years. However, she continues, I thought you should know that several guests recorded the incident. The video is, well, it's making rounds through Boston society circles. Someone added a caption, how not to treat your wife. Your husband has become quite infamous. 10/5/1:14 p.m. Ishak Khan. The video is everywhere. The Pemberton dinner party last night, it was all anyone discussed. That Joyce woman's reputation is equally destroyed, of course. Pursuing a married man so publicly at a wedding. The audacity. She pauses, then adds quietly, I've been married 46 years, Willow. Richard has his faults, but he's never once failed to claim me as his wife. What your husband did, that wasn't just cruel. It was cowardly. You deserve better. After she hangs up, I sit stunned. Margaret Hartley, professional drama enthusiast, just became an unexpected ally. The next call comes an hour later. Military base prefix. Is this Willow Richardson? Yes. This is Marcus Torres, Joyce's former fiancé. My stomach tenses. Marcus, I'm so sorry about. Don't apologize. You did me a massive favor. I'm calling because I think we can help each other. Help each other. I've been going through Joyce's emails. She forwarded work correspondence to her personal account. There are messages between her and your husband that are enlightening. Enlightening how? They called us convenient, both of us. Said we were stable but boring. Good for their careers and public image, but not exciting enough for the long term. Each word feels like another puzzle piece, clicking into place. They discussed us like we were furniture. Useful, but replaceable. There's one email thread where your husband promises to recommend Joyce for a senior director position once he makes partner, in exchange for her continued attention and discretion. Dated 9 weeks ago. He was trading career advancement for an affair. I'm sending you everything, Marcus continues. Use it however you need, but Willow, there's something else. Joyce did this at her previous firm in Chicago, and the one before that in Miami. It's a pattern. She targets married men in leadership, creates dependency, then leverages it for promotions. How did you? Military intelligence training comes in handy. I'm meeting with her former targets next week, building a case. A case for what? She destroyed multiple relationships for sport and profit. That has consequences. He hangs up before I can respond. Within 3 minutes, my email dings. A zip file labeled Evidence JOYCE and Asher. 29 email threads, each more damaging than the last. The next morning brings an unexpected turn. I arrive at Riverside Academy early, hopping to prep for classes in peace. Instead, I find the principal, Dr. Martinez, waiting in my classroom with coffee and a knowing smile. Willow, word travels in our community, she begins carefully. Several parents have reached out expressing support. They're appalled by what happened. My cheeks burn. The parents know. Margaret Hartley's granddaughter is in your 4th period honors class. Margaret has been vocal about the situation. I want to disappear into the floor. However, Dr. Martinez continues, this has led to something remarkably positive. 5 families have specifically requested you for private college prep tutoring. The Morgans, the Chens, the Williams family, the Castellanos, and the Pratts. All comprehensive SAT packages, at $350 per session. That's nearly $14,000 in additional income. Additionally, she pulls out a business card. Andrea Williams, partner at Williams Frost and Associates, asked me to give you this. She's offering pro bono legal services for your divorce proceedings. I take the card, speechless. Her exact words, women need to support women who know their worth. She also mentioned she's handled several cases against your husband's firm. Apparently, they have a documented history of protecting employees who engage in inappropriate workplace conduct. That afternoon, I meet Andrea Williams at her office, a sleek space overlooking Boston Harbor, all glass and steel and power. She's everything I'm not, tall, commanding, with the kind of presence that makes courtrooms go silent. I've reviewed the preliminary materials, she says, spreading documents across her marble conference table. Your husband made several critical errors. She ticks them off on perfectly manicured fingers. The joint account drainage, the public humiliation, captured on video, witnessed by 73 people, the documented affair spanning 18 months, the fraudulent use of marital assets, and this, she taps the photocopied journal. His own handwritten exit strategy. This is premeditated marital fraud. I don't want his money, I say. I just want out. Noble but foolish. He spent marital assets on his affair. That's dissipation of marital property. You're entitled to significant compensation. Let me handle the legal strategy. You focus on rebuilding your life. That evening, I return to what will soon be Asher's former apartment to collect the last of my belongings. I still have physical keys he can't digitally revoke. The space feels different, smaller, like it's already forgotten me. In the bedroom closet, behind his collection of expensive suits, I notice a shoebox I've never seen before. Inside, a leather journal, the pretentious kind people buy to document their important thoughts. I open to a random page. Year 4 with W maintains status quo until senior partnership confirmed. She provides stability, respectability. Parents approve. After promotion, reassess options. J shows more long-term potential. W2 content with teaching. No real ambition beyond classroom. 7-year exit strategy on track. My initials reduced to letters. Our marriage reduced to a business timeline. I photograph every page. My hands steady despite the rage building in my chest. The final entry, dated 3 weeks ago. W still completely clueless. J agrees to Denver transfer after my promotion. Fresh start. No dead weight holding me back. Freedom by year's end. I close the journal, place it back in the shoebox, and take the entire thing with me. This isn't just his private thoughts anymore. This is evidence. Written confession of fraud, emotional, financial, marital. Andrea calls that evening, her voice carrying that sharp lawyer's edge that means business. The papers are ready. Process server is scheduled for Sunday, 1 00 p.m. Your husband's parents' address. Is that still current? Sunday dinner, I confirm. He never misses it, especially when he needs comfort. Perfect. Nothing quite like a family audience for accountability. Sunday arrives cold and drizzling. At 1:14 p.m., my phone rings. Barbara Richardson, right on schedule. You vindictive witch, she screams before I can speak. How dare you humiliate him in our home? In front of his father, his brother, the children. Barbara, your son humiliated me in front of hundreds at a wedding. This seems proportionate. He was served divorce papers at our dining table. During dinner, Father Murphy was visiting. Even better than I'd imagined. Public humiliation apparently runs in your family, Barbara. He gave it out. Now he's receiving it back. You've destroyed him. His career, his reputation, his future. He destroyed those himself. I just stopped hiding the debris. She hangs up, but not before I hear Asher yelling in the background about lawsuits, defamation, destroying me in court. Monday morning, my recruiter friend Diane texts, "You need to see this." She sends a screenshot from LinkedIn. Someone captured Asher's profile during the brief window I'd edited it, and now it's circulating through Boston's professional networks, attached to the wedding video. The comments are brutal. This is why companies need better ethics policies. Imagine destroying your marriage and career for an office affair. My firm would never hire someone with this level of poor judgment. That poor wife, at least she escaped. Diane's next text. His profile views dropped 87% this week. Recruiters are actively avoiding him. That video plus the LinkedIn situation. He's radioactive in this market. Another message. Even his uncle's insurance firm withdrew their offer. Nobody wants the liability. Wednesday arrives. Mediation day. Andrea has prepped me extensively, but nothing prepares me for seeing Asher again. He looks diminished somehow. Suit wrinkled. Hair unkempt. The golden boy polish completely gone. Joyce's absence is deafening. She refused to attend, claiming she's the real victim in all this. His lawyer, a tired-looking man named Gerald, opens with standard demands. My client seeks equitable division of assets, 50-50 split, and temporary spousal support, given Mrs. Richardson's higher current earning potential with her teaching salary and tutoring income. Andrea actually laughs. Your client wants support. Let's review the financial reality, shall we? She spreads bank statements across the table with theatrical precision. Mrs. Richardson paid 68% of household expenses during Mr. Richardson's MBA program. She highlights line after line with a yellow marker. Rent, utilities, groceries, even his student loan payments, all while maintaining her full-time teaching position and taking extra tutoring clients to support them both. That was a mutual investment in their shared future, Gerald starts. A future he was planning to abandon. Andrea produces the journal, photocopied and bound like a legal document. Page 34, dated 19 months ago. 4 more years until partnership, then execute exit strategy from W. Page 57. W's stability useful for appearance of settled family man. Critical for senior partnership track. Page 82. J shows more promise for power couple dynamic. W holding me back professionally. Gerald's face pales. Asher's face flushes crimson. That's private, Asher explodes. She stole that from. Your client documented his intention to commit marital fraud, Andrea continues smoothly. Using his wife for financial and social stability while actively planning abandonment and pursuing an extramarital affair. She pauses for effect. Joyce's name appears 263 times across these entries. That's approximately once every 3 days for 22 months. This is ridiculous, Asher slams his hand on the table. I was building our future while she wasted time with middle schoolers. She contributed nothing. She's bitter because I finally found someone actually interesting. Mr. Richardson, the mediator, a stern woman named Judge Chen, interrupts sharply. You've just admitted to the affair on official record. Andrea smiles like a shark scenting blood. Would you like to discuss the $53,000 in marital assets spent on this interesting relationship? Hotels, dinners, jewelry from Tiffany's. Those were client expenses. Client Joyce Williams? Because these receipts show dinner for 2, consistently 2, at restaurants where Mrs. Richardson was never present. Theater tickets purchased in pairs. A weekend spa package in the Berkshires. All while telling your wife you were at conferences or visiting college friends. Gerald whispers urgently to Asher, but he's beyond listening. She locked me out, changed my LinkedIn, destroyed my reputation. You destroyed your own reputation, I say quietly, speaking for the first time. My voice is steady, calm. I just stopped covering for you. Before he can respond, Andrea's phone buzzes. She glances at it and her shark smile widens. Interesting timing. Joyce Williams just released a statement through her company's HR department. She reads from her screen. Mr. Richardson's persistent romantic advances created an extremely uncomfortable work environment. Despite my repeated attempts to maintain professional boundaries, he leveraged his senior position to pursue inappropriate contact. I felt pressured to comply to protect my career trajectory. I'm grateful my company is taking this situation seriously. That's a lie, Asher stands, his chair scraping violently. SHE pursued me. She has emails that prove. She has edited emails, Andrea corrects, carefully curated to suggest otherwise. She's claiming harassment, hostile work environment, potential quid pro quo. Your former company launched a formal investigation this morning. You're suspended pending findings. Gerald closes his briefcase with the sound of utter defeat. We need to recess. My client needs to address these new allegations before we can proceed. Of course, Andrea agrees pleasantly. But let me be clear about our position. Mrs. Richardson keeps all premarital assets, her entire savings account, her earnings, and her grandmother's inheritance. Mr. Richardson keeps his debt, his damaged reputation, and whatever Joyce left him with. Additionally, we're seeking compensation for dissipation of marital assets. We're calculating $65,000 spent on the affair. As we gather our materials, Asher grabs my arm desperately. Willow, please, you know me. You know I'm not what she's saying. I look at him, really look. The golden boy who charmed me 8 years ago is gone completely. In his place, a desperate man watching his carefully constructed life collapse. I don't know you at all, I say quietly. I never did. Andrea guides me toward the exit while Asher calls after me, his voice cracking with panic. The sound follows us down the marble hallway that's witnessed countless broken marriages, but probably few as thoroughly demolished as ours. Outside the building, Andrea turns to me. Joyce won't stop with that statement. She's going to bury him to save herself. By next week, he won't be able to get hired serving coffee in this city. She's right. 4 days later, the full HR investigation report leaks. Joyce submitted edited text messages, selective emails, even a recorded phone call where Asher's words were spliced to sound predatory. His former company issues a public statement, distancing themselves from Mr. Richardson's behavior and terminating his employment effective immediately. His professional networks evaporate overnight. The headline in Boston Business Review reads, "Former rising star faces multiple investigations after workplace affair gone wrong." Asher's professional obituary, printed for the world to see. 6 months later, I fold the newspaper and leave it on Grace's kitchen table, feeling nothing but distant relief, like hearing about a storm that passed without ever touching your house. The divorce is final. I'd kept my maiden name, Turner, on everything except the official paperwork, so reverting felt like slipping into comfortable shoes I'd forgotten I owned. Burlington has become home in ways Boston never was. I found a small apartment with exposed brick, mountain views, and a landlord who actually appreciates good tenants. I'm teaching at a prestigious private academy, building a thriving tutoring practice, and actually choosing my own clients. Tuesday mornings, I treat myself to coffee at Common Grounds, a cafe where nobody knows my history, and the barista just calls me, the teacher who likes extra foam. This particular Tuesday, I'm grading essays when a familiar voice makes me look up. Willow, oh my goodness, it is you. Margaret Hartley stands there in a burgundy wool coat, looking distinctly out of place among Vermont locals in their fleece and flannel. Margaret, I set down my red pen. What brings you to Burlington? Visiting my sister. She retired here last year. She gestures to the empty chair. May I? I nod, curious despite myself. Margaret settles with her Earl Grey, eyes bright with that particular gleam that means fresh gossip. I suppose you haven't heard the latest developments. I don't really follow Boston news anymore. Oh, but you must hear this. She leans forward conspiratorially. Asher is living in his childhood bedroom at his parents' house. Barbara tells everyone who'll listen that he's regrouping and considering options. I take a sip of my latte, waiting. He's working at his uncle's friend's car dealership, not selling cars, filing warranty paperwork in the back office. Can you imagine? From corporate presentations to automotive filing. That's quite a change. And he's dating someone new. Barbara describes her as simple but sweet, which, in Barbara speak, means she's appalled but desperate for him to move on. The girl's 24, works at a nail salon. They met when she did Barbara's manicure. 24, barely out of college. I feel a flicker of pity for the girl, but not enough to warn her. She'll learn, or she won't. And Joyce, I ask, more from politeness than interest. Transferred to Denver, then quietly let go 4 months later. Something about cultural fit issues. Last I heard, she was bartending and attempting some sort of lifestyle blog that's going nowhere. Margaret finishes her tea and leaves with air kisses and promises to stay in touch that we both know are empty. I return to my essays, red pen moving across pages about Gatsby's green light and the danger of chasing impossible dreams built on lies. Thursday afternoon, Riverside Academy faculty meeting via video call. I'd maintained my position there, teaching remotely 4 days a week. They hadn't wanted to lose me, and the arrangement works perfectly. Before we adjourn, Dr. Martinez announces, I have wonderful news. The board has unanimously approved our recommendation. She looks directly at my screen. Willow Turner, would you please accept the position of head of English department? My colleagues erupt in congratulations across their various screens. It's a position I never even considered pursuing when I was managing Asher's ego, making sure I was never too successful, never too visible, never more accomplished than him. I'm deeply honored, I say, meaning every word. Thank you. Your innovative curriculum proposals were extraordinary, Dr. Martinez continues. Particularly the cross-disciplinary project integrating literature with historical context. Brilliant work, truly. Brilliant. Not boring, not uninteresting. Brilliant. If Willow's journey from invisible wife to empowered woman resonated with you, take a moment to subscribe. Her story proves that knowing your worth isn't revenge, it's revolution. That evening, I'm making dinner when my phone rings. Unknown number, Boston area code. I almost don't answer. Then curiosity wins. Is this Willow? Willow Turner. This is Jake Morrison. I was Asher's roommate at Dartmouth. My hand tightens on the phone. Jake, I owe you an apology. A massive one. I should have warned you years ago. Warned me. About Asher. About how he talked about you. Jake's voice strains with guilt. He used to brag about having a backup wife. Said you were perfect for the image he needed. Smart enough to impress people, but too boring to ever leave him. Too grateful to have someone like him to ever cause problems. Each word confirms what I'd already pieced together, but hearing it from someone else still stings. He said boring women were perfect for marriage because they'd never have options, Jake continues. They'd always be loyal because who else would want them? I should have told you at the wedding, at the engagement party, but bro code and all that toxic garbage. Why tell me now? Because I heard what he did to you, what he said at that wedding, and I realized my silence made me complicit. You didn't deserve any of it. He pauses. Your revenge wasn't cruelty, Willow. It was just returning the same level of respect he showed you. Actually, you were kinder than he deserved. Thank you, I say quietly, for telling me now. There's more. He's been calling old friends, trying to borrow money, looking for job connections. Everyone's avoiding him. He did this to himself, but he still blames you entirely. Says you destroyed his life over a joke. A joke. 5 years of marriage reduced to a punchline, and he still calls it a joke. Saturday afternoon, I attend a reading at Phoenix Books, our local independent bookstore. The author discusses historical fiction, weaving together stories of forgotten women who changed history from the shadows. I sit in the back row, notebook in hand, genuinely absorbed. Excellent question, the author says to someone up front about the agency of women who appeared powerless. Professor Shaw, would you like to address that from a historical perspective? A man stands, tall, early 40s, salt and pepper beard, wearing a tweed jacket that should look pretentious but somehow doesn't. His answer is thoughtful, nuanced, bringing in examples from his own research on women's resistance movements in 19th century New England. I find myself leaning forward, captured by his perspective. After the reading, I'm browsing the history section when a voice beside me says, "You were taking serious notes back there. Academic interest." Professor Shaw stands there, holding a stack of books that suggests he's a regular. Both, I admit. I teach English, but I'm always looking for historical connections to make literature more relevant for students. His face lights up. Cross-disciplinary approach, that's exactly what education needs. I'm Daniel, by the way, Daniel Shaw. Willow Turner. We talk for 37 minutes about books, teaching, the challenge of making history matter to teenagers who think anything before smartphones is ancient history. He listens intently, asks follow-up questions, laughs at my observation about students thinking the 1990s might as well be medieval times. Would you maybe want to continue this conversation over coffee? He asks. I know a place that makes incredible maple lattes. I'd like that very much. 8 months later, the cafe on Church Street is packed with the usual Saturday morning crowd, but Daniel secured our favorite corner table, the one with the best light for reading. So the department approved your sabbatical proposal? He asks, sliding a maple latte across to me. They did. 12 months to work on my book project. I can't keep the smile off my face. A literary analysis of women's narratives in 19th century American fiction, integrated with historical context of their actual lives. That's incredible, Willow. You've been talking about this since we met. I never thought I'd actually do it. For so long, I made myself smaller so someone else could feel bigger. Daniel reaches across the table, his hand covering mine. You're not small. You never were. Some people just needed you to believe you were so they could control you. My phone buzzes. Sarah's name lights up the screen. OMG, just saw Asher at Target in Wellesley. He was buying discount groceries with manufacturer coupons. He saw me and literally hid in the cereal aisle. How the mighty have fallen. I show Daniel the text. He reads it and shakes his head. Do you ever regret it, how it all went down? I consider the question carefully. I regret staying as long as I did. I regret not seeing the signs earlier, but exposing the truth, refusing to protect someone who humiliated me publicly. No, I don't regret that at all. Good, Daniel says firmly. You deserved better than being someone's boring backup wife. I told him everything on our 4th date. The wedding, the humiliation, the revenge, the divorce, half expecting him to run. Instead, he'd said, you didn't seek revenge, you sought truth. There's a difference. My phone buzzes again. This time, an email from my literary agent. Yes, I have an agent now. About interest from university presses in my book proposal. Around us, the cafe hums with life. Students studying, couples laughing, strangers becoming friends over shared tables. This life, the one I built from the ashes of my marriage, is entirely mine. No one tells me I'm too focused on my work. No one dismisses my accomplishments as cute teacher stuff. No one makes me smaller so they can feel larger. What are you thinking about? Daniel asks, studying my face. How interesting my life became, I say, the moment I stopped trying to be interesting for someone else. He smiles, the kind of smile that reaches his eyes, genuine and warm. For what it's worth, I've never met anyone more interesting than you. And the beautiful part, I finally believe it. Not because a man said it, but because I've proven it to myself. Epilogue, 2 years later. The Boston Business Review sits on the coffee table of my Vermont home. The one I bought with my book advance and accumulated savings. The headline reads, Former marketing executive faces legal action over fraudulent resume claims. I don't need to read the article to know it's about Asher. Apparently, he'd been lying on job applications, inflating his credentials, inventing positions he never held. Another bridge burned by his own hand. Grace is visiting for the weekend, sitting across from me on the porch with her coffee. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd stayed? She asks quietly. Every day for the first 6 months, I admit. Now, never. My book, Hidden Voices, Women's Literary Resistance in 19th Century America, sits on the side table, awaiting its official release next month. The advance reviews have been extraordinary. My phone rings. Daniel, calling from the historical conference in Philadelphia. Hey you, I answer, unable to suppress my smile. Hey yourself, just wanted to hear your voice before my panel, and to tell you that 3 different professors asked about your book. The buzz is real, Willow. I still can't believe this is my life. Believe it, you earned every bit of it. After we hang up, I sit there on my porch, overlooking mountains I now call home, living a life I built entirely for myself. 5 years ago, I was frozen at a wedding reception, listening to my husband tell strangers I wasn't interesting enough to count as his wife. Today, I'm a published author, department head, educator, and a woman who finally knows her worth. The revenge wasn't in destroying Asher's life. The revenge was in building mine. The end. My favorite moment in Willow's journey was when she left that wedding ring on the pillow with the devastating note, knowing Asher would wake up to a completely dismantled life he'd built on lies. What was your favorite moment? Drop it in the comments below. Stories like this remind us that knowing your worth isn't just powerful, it's transformative. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now so you never miss these journeys from broken to unbreakable. Hit that notification bell and join this community of people who refuse to settle for less than they deserve. Thank you for being here. Your worth is non-negotiable. Never forget that.